Hi, everyone. My name is Eric. I'm 19, and I was run out of my hometown for defending a gay friend. But first things first. I was just a regular guy in college. It was so boring in my city that I sometimes scrolled through my entire Instagram feed 100 times a day, over and over again. But sometimes, Nick and that's my friend, still found something to do. One day, his parents flew away on vacation, and he was home alone. Nick's parents are cool. They said that if we wanted to have a party, spoiler alert, we did, it was no issue. It sounds like the beginning of some party from a teen movie, but that really was the case. Apparently, I wasn't the only one bored with their Insta feed, because a lot of people showed up. I met a girl at some point that night. Honestly, she looked a little strange. I don't even know how to describe her, but after our conversation, I realized she was very cool. But, unfortunately, my inner pickup artist messed it all up. I reached out to kiss her, but instead of kissing her, intriguing, huh? I got slapped in the face. She got angry, pushed me away, and left. Man, I was so embarrassed for rushing things. But I liked her way too much to let our story end there. Anyway, when I got home, I found her on social media. By the way, among other things, she had a great sense of humor. She introduced herself to me as Tommy. I thought it was something like Tammy, but on Instagram, the caption also said Tommy. Anyway, I added her as a friend and apologized for rushing. There was nothing illegal about trying to get a kiss, so she forgave me. We started texting, and really, she turned out to be the most interesting girl I've ever talked to. Although not without some oddities, of course. It's weird that there were no photos on her page, because usually girls like to post something. But she's special. So let's get to the point. After a week of talking, she agreed to go on a date. We met, everything went fine, but the move went down at the end of the date. We did kiss that time, and I wanted to officially ask her to be my girlfriend. Maybe I would have, if I hadn't discovered Tommy wasn't exactly a her. It turned out that Tommy is a guy who likes to look like a girl. I was shocked. He said that he gave me a lot of hints about this in our communication. If only I had gotten all those hints. Then all the pieces came together. It wasn't an accident that his appearance seemed weird to me, but damn, weird. Not masculine. I should probably go see an eye doctor. His voice was a little low for a girl, but it can be like that sometimes. I took it as a special feature, and when he bluntly said his name was Tommy, I thought he was joking. That's harsh that it happened. I kissed a guy. I thought we had a lot in common, and it turned out that we had much more in common than I anticipated. For example, gender. I couldn't handle what I had just heard. I just got up and left. Believe me, when you have some feelings for a girl, kiss her, and she turns out to be a guy, it's stunning. I was just walking down the street and trying to get over it. I needed to share it with someone, and I asked Nick to meet me. Man, he was laughing at me like the best comedians in the world were telling him their best jokes. But when I laughed at myself, it got so much easier. And Nick promised not to tell anyone. After a couple of days, I finally calmed down and I started thinking about Tommy. He'd opened up to me, and I just ran away. After the state of shock wore off, I felt I needed to explain myself. I wanted to keep seeing him, but as a friend. After all, if you skip all the other details, he's very interesting to talk to. I sent him an I'm sorry message, and even said that if I was gay, we would definitely become a couple, but he didn't appreciate the joke. It turned out that a couple of hours after I ran away from the cafe, people started harassing Tommy with messages that he was a freak. The fact that he disguised himself as a girl sometimes was only known by a few people. But it was after he opened up to me that the real bullying started. Logically, he blamed me, but I didn't tell anyone, except Nick, who promised to keep quiet. When I went to him, he didn't even deny it. I made him tell his friends to stop writing nasty things to Tommy, but it didn't help. Word of mouth had already spread. Half of our college was already bombing Tommy's private messages. Here's my question, though. What kind of savages are into bullying in the 21st century? Nick and I had a big fight about it. Of course, you could give Tommy the advice to just change his social media account or block the haters. But I wanted to fix it myself to get on Tommy's good side. So then I came up with a plan. The plan itself was pretty simple. It was a lot trickier to work up the courage to do it and talk Tommy into it. So, we kissed again. The whole plan was to take a picture of our kiss and post it on my Instagram page. With this photo, I was hoping to show everyone that being different is not a bad thing. But the plan worked the other way around. Instead of leaving Tommy alone, everyone started writing to me. I told you, savages. But most importantly, Tommy was not on the spot anymore. And after that, he forgave me. Now, Tommy and I are best friends. Everything seemed to have settled down. But I forgot one thing. While I was trying to solve the problem with our peers, I forgot about my parents. My parents did not have Instagram accounts, but mutual acquaintances were still a thing. To make this long story short, one day I came home and my parents were already waiting for me. They looked like they were about to perform an exorcism. All they needed was a priest to complete the setting. They shouted that I had disgraced them, like, how can they look people in the eyes now, and so on. My dad is an old military man, so the word tolerance is no more than a word for him, with no connotation behind it. At first, I tried to explain that I'm not gay and that the photo was some kind of protest. But at some point, it started to piss me off that my parents were even more prejudiced than the horde that sent us all those dirty messages. Well, I started to snap. Dad said if I didn't stop arguing and stop being gay, stop being gay, he'd throw me out on the street. But I wasn't going to back down, so my father kept his promise. Wow, that pissed me off. Due to the fact that I defended the freedom of people to express themselves, many wrote mean things to me. My parents kicked me out of the house. What's next? Maybe I'm supposed to go to jail for this? But fortunately, I was already 19. I was still going to move out of my parents' house. The problem was, I didn't know where to go. With a small set of things, I went to Tommy. I knew this guy would support me, and I was not mistaken. Although he lived in a college dorm, he managed to arrange with people to let me stay there for a while. Plus, Tommy said that until I had the money, he could help me with it. He worked as a designer, and money was not an issue. Really, there are no words to describe how cool he is. After the situation with the selfie, we became close. But this situation brought us even closer. We lived in the dorm for a while, but this is not the end of the story. A week after I moved into the dorm, Nick called me. He said that his parents had gone away again, but this time for a long time, and if Tommy and I wanted to, we could stay with him for a while. He said that he was very ashamed that he told everyone everything about Tommy, and that in this way, he wanted to make it up to us. Of course, we were still mad at Nick, but after all, he might not have known where his gossip would bring us. Plus, living in a penthouse is clearly better than living in a dorm. I asked Tommy, and he agreed. It was the ultimate mistake. As I realized later, Nick is a homophobic freak. When we stepped into the house, it was like some Tarantino movie. Nick closed the doors behind us, and a bunch of scum from our university were poking their fingers and throwing eggs at us. I couldn't believe this was real. In 2019, 2 guys are brutally bullied for the fact that one of them expresses himself and the second protects him. And Nick, the friend who invited them to live, just sat back and watched all of this. Of course, they didn't have an unlimited supply of eggs, so we were released, but it was extreme. We were in such shock that all the way back to the dorm, we were silent. This time, I was convinced that it was not safe to stay at this college or in this city. All my friends, acquaintances, and even my parents were provincial savages, unable to accept people who are not similar to them. On the other hand, this situation helped me to find a real friend. Even when they were throwing those freaking eggs at us, Tommy stepped forward a little to cover me. Honestly, Tommy is a man with a capital M who will always support a friend. And the way he likes to dress and what gender he dates is his own business. We have moved to another city, rented an apartment together, and now we are even going to the same college and enjoying life. That's my story.